Welcome, everyone. My name is Ellison, a researcher here at the Hague Center for Strategic Studies, and today we are having our event From Cloud to Community, Shaping the Future of Digital Defense. And joining me here today is one of our panelists, Vdovychenko, who is going to talk to us a little bit today about societal warfare and what that looks like in the digital world. So Victoria, thank you very much for joining us, and maybe you can give us a little sneak peek of what you'll be talking about today.
Thank you so much, and absolutely to the Hague Center for Strategic Studies for hosting this important event before the NATO summit in particular. To tell you the truth, we are slightly sensitive towards the term societal warfare. We believe it's not the society, but we still use the term the whole of society approach, in a term that it's more convenient and more, let's say, up to the point when we talk about, I'm coming from Ukraine, that's why we are talking about more about these things. So basically, in my points today, we're going to discuss about electromagnetic warfare, why it's important for a moment, and there is specifically the advancement in 2025, when NATO member states, some of the NATO member states are already in the coalition. Point number two, we will talk about why the word resilience is already gone for Ukrainian society since 2022. Be more focused on what can be done. So resilience is not something that you are doing as a defensive, but you have to do it also in the offensive way. So how to stay proactive, this is basically what I'm talking about, not only in terms of digital infrastructure that we are enrolling, but how the civil society organizations also help with the government, and what is the cooperation between business, let's say NGOs, think tanks, and of course the governmental institutions, when the threats are not only external, but also what we say in the hybrid mode, internal speaking, because when the kinetic attacks are happening, like it happened 40 hours ago on Kyiv, my city, it comes normally with a spoofing or some of the jamming signals, but of course less of the missiles are being used, but more of the drone technologies are being used. And how much Ukraine is advancing in terms of the AI, embedding that not only into the military or sector of security and defense, to be precisely, but also into the businesses. This is what I believe I'll be very happy to share.
Sure. And just following on, is there an example you'd like to highlight of that sort of proactive approach to resilience?
Yeah, absolutely. So now, for example, we have AI centers of excellence within the Ministry of Digital Transformation. They just signed a memorandum with one of the biggest mobile operator, Kyivstar, which is for creating the biggest LLM, so linguistic models, right? And basically the idea is, I'm just giving this example, but there are many, many others, what we say most on the business level, when the businesses understand that embedding the AI is not only the future, it's the reality of right now, and how to be more efficient and effective in this world where disruptions, tactical medicine courses, but also the saving lives are happening at the same time, when you also have to think about developing and designing your businesses. Point number two is, of course, we're going to talk about the systems like Avenger, so it's AI system being embedded by the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. And why it's important, because it basically tactically looks at how the aggressors are being, maneuvering, and will literally can do the more precise strikes. And that's important in terms of understanding what kind of advancement, not only kinetical, but specifically the Ukraine is having for the lessons learned for the NATO member states in particular, or European allies of NATO in this sense. Last but not least, I believe, is the example, what we say, what the society organizations or local organizations are doing in order to advance more that, and specifically how the local communities are trying to embrace themselves the opportunity, designing, developing, doing the reform tracks, but also trying to stay kinetically alive. And this very, really different atmosphere, but at the same time the image that every day the Ukrainian citizen is living. From one side, you have to enroll and design and develop your business, because of course economy grows and you need to grow, and you need to basically be economically tangible and sustainable. From another side, you definitely have to enroll yourself into tactical medical courses in order to saving lives, because you never know what kind of the drone attack or actually the bomb will shoot or strike either your family or your relatives, friends, in my case, even students.
Absolutely. And I know there's going to be a lot of very eager listeners here today to hear more about all of this. And I suppose the final point will be, as you mentioned, we're about a week out from the NATO summit here. If you were to get any point through to some of the leaders that are going to be here next week, what would be that point?
Well, the most of understanding is just the hybrid mode of how conducting the warfare is not something in the future. It's like modern warfare. So point number one, and understanding that reality that is not escaping, and defense spending is not a spending but it's an investment. I think is a point number one priority, because it's investing in its own national security and defense. And I think it should be prioritized in this sense. Of course, how to embed Ukrainian lessons learned better also on the, let's say, cloud terms, or understanding in the AI systems how Ukrainians are doing it, I believe should be into the discussions, not only bilateral but also on the NATO stance. And actually it's already happening. I know the NATO already redesigns its medical priorities and basically the protocols in case of potential kinetic attacks of some of the member states. Last but not least, because I'm designing scenarios, and we are talking about also about the foresights, in order to think and talk about the foresights, we actually have to understand where are we now. So the threats are not somewhere kinetically in Ukrainian fields. They are everywhere. Whatever you're using the technology, even right now when you're video recording me, whatever you're using, you know, like your smartphones, are you sure you're resilient enough and protected? How make sure that you are agile enough? And what is your algorithm of actions if something happens?
Absolutely, well, absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for inviting.
Absolutely, and be sure to follow us and to follow more on this event. Thank you again.
Thank you.